Israeli forces kill 15 Palestinians in West Bank's Jenin. The European Union discusses suspending serious sanctions on energy and transport. And US President Donald Trump discusses TikTok's sale, and this decision is expected soon. It's exactly 8 p.m. car local time, and you're watching Q News. We begin today's bulletin with the latest developments in Gaza. Israeli occupation forces have continued their large-scale offensive on the city of Jenin for the sixth consecutive day. Since the assault began on Tuesday the 15th, Palestinians have been killed, dozens have been injured or detained, and significant damage have been inflicted on civilian properties, public and private facilities, and critical infrastructure, including water, electricity, and networks. Israeli occupation forces have significantly escalated their restrictions on movements around the city of Ramallah in the central occupied West Bank. Palestinian news agency reported that the Israeli forces closed key gates and intensified military checkpoints, further restricting movement. Additionally, Israeli occupation authorities issued demolition orders of 45 homes in the village of El Naum, located east of Beit Lahem. The UNRWA director in the occupied West Bank has stated that the humanitarian and security situation in the northern West Bank has worsened in recent weeks. The UNRWA director added that ongoing violence has forced many residents to flee Jenin camp. The military escalation and deteriorating security conditions have caused mass displacement, severely affecting daily life. As a result, UNRWA suspended educational activities and health services, urging the international community to intervene and protect civilians. Hamas has announced that it is working with mediators to tackle the Israeli prevention of displaced individuals in southern Gaza to return to the north, which is a violation of the ceasefire agreement. Hamas also criticized Israel for delaying under the pretext of the detainee Arbel Yehud, despite assurances that she is alive and guarantees for her release. Hamas held Israel responsible for the delays and affirmed its commitment to resolving the issue through mediation. That came as thousands of displaced Palestinians have gathered waiting for the withdrawal of Israeli occupation forces to return to their homes in Gaza City and the northern Gaza Strip. Under the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire agreement, Israel was to begin allowing Palestinians to return to their homes in northern Gaza through Netzarim corridor. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has stressed the importance of ceasefire in Gaza and halting Israeli violations. This came during a press conference with Iraqi counterpart Fouad Hussein. Fidan highlighted discussions on combating terrorist groups in Iraq, expanding cooperation by involving regional countries, and avoiding instability in Iraq despite regional disagreements. He also emphasized Turkey's focus on close communication between Iraq and Syria's new administration and reaffirmed the importance of making the Gaza ceasefire permanent while continuing cooperation on shared concerns.
PKK saldırısı sonucu şehit olmuştur. Şehit askerlere Allah'tan rahmet diliyorum. Şu gerçeği
And for further analysis on the situation in Gaza, we're joined from Ramallah by political science professor Dr. Adil Nasser Mekki. Welcome to Qnews, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on the show today. Sir, how do you foresee the possibility of turning the current detainee exchange and ceasefire agreement in Gaza into a permanent cessation of hostilities, sir?
Yes, I think that there is a problem concerning the hostages Daniela Yahoud, but I think Arbela Yahoud. But I think, according to some sources from Islamic Jihad, that they almost reached to consensus with the mediators in order to release it before Saturday, and after that, the Israeli will allow to the Palestinian, which about 600,000 people from Al-Rashid Street, to go back to their home in the north part of Gaza, Hanun Bet Lahia. So I think now the mediators is working with all the parties in order to overcome this problem, and I hope that it will overcome and it will be finished tonight or tomorrow morning. And I think also the American mediators, Steve Witkoff, will come to this Wednesday, and will be implemented and monitoring. He will be monitoring and watching the implementation of the ceasefire on the first stage, which is going well by releasing seven of the Israeli hostages and about 320 or more from the Palestinian side. So I hope it will be tonight or tomorrow morning.
Sir, why is Israel risking the entire agreement for the immediate return of the detainee in particular, which is Arbel Yahoud, sir?
I think this is something that had been maybe like mistaken or misunderstanding, but I think that the Prime Minister Netanyahu is trying to make blackmail from Hamas and the other resistance, that's in Gaza, because as you know, the Hamas and the other, militants said that this is not a civilian, this is soldiers in the Israeli IDF, and because of this, they should, like what before with the four Israeli women soldiers, like each one will about 50 Palestinian prisoners, 30 long life sentences, and the other also for long life. So in the prison. So I think this is what the Israeli want to do, want to pressure on Hamas. They said that they freed them not to go ahead with the second condition or the second part of the that's the agreement to allow to the people to come back to the north part of Gaza unless Hamas and the other will agree to release Arbel Yahoud before Saturday. And this is a kind of or type of blackmail.
Sir, can the pressure being exerted on Netanyahu by members of his government lead him to backtrack on the ceasefire agreement in Gaza?
No, I don't think so. Because as you know, even the extreme is there, and they are, and also today there is statements, which was serious and dangerous statements from the Trump when he said that the President Trump when he said that to cleaning Gaza from the people and from displacement and the request from Egypt and even from Jordan to receive these people, and that Gaza will be empty. So this is also something that had been receiving by the extreme government Israel, like Smotrich and Ben Gvir, and they're welcoming this statement and declaration from Trump. But I don't think so that that will stop for the ceasefire. They will go ahead with the ceasefire. As I told you, Mr. Witkoff will come Wednesday in order to watch the ceasefire according to the agreement for the first stage that will be finished on 42 days with releasing about 33 Israeli.
Sir, could Israel's delay of the return of local residents to northern Gaza be detrimental to the ceasefire agreement?
You mean that the Israeli government will allow them to come back? Your question.
Sir, could Israel's delay of the
I
return of local residents to northern Gaza be a mean to make the
Yes.
ceasefire impossible?
Look, I think, as I told you, this night or tomorrow, I think this will be finished. But this is the Israeli government. This is the extreme. And also, this is the Israeli. They could delay, but uh, there is no any justification for Netanyahu to delay or to stop to allow the people to come back to their north, to their home. What is that to release this hostages, which is Shahud, which is the lady. But as you know, the Hamas and resistance, they agreed. And they said that it will be released before Saturday, according to what Netanyahu requests. So I don't think so that there is any another reason for delaying, unless the Israeli want to not go ahead with the ceasefire, which is, from my point of view, I don't think it's realistic because also the Israeli, well, they are pressure on Netanyahu to continue this agreement in order to release all the hostages on the first stage and even for the other stages.
Sir, why is Israel insisting on continuing the military operation in Jenin in the West Bank?
I think this is a message for the Palestinian people in West Bank.
A message
This
of
is
what,
one
sir?
thing.
A message to what kind of message are they sending?
They sending message to the Palestinian in West Bank that the Israeli, as you know, they are failure in Gaza. They are not winning, so they want to make a victory, like from Netanyahu. And from all these action on the ground in West Bank, as you mentioned, for the checkpoints and stopping the Palestinian and not allow Palestinian to go ahead with all cities from like you said, Ramallah. It's not Ramallah. It's all the West Bank. It's have been like, that is like a prison, small prison for all West Bank. Nobody could go from one place to another place. Like me, or Hebrew, I need about 5 or 6 hours to stop and to stay on the checkpoints in order that the Israeli security allow me to. They will stay on the checkpoints because the Israeli did not allow them to go there. So this one thing. The other thing for this matter is that Netanyahu want to satisfy and to also to for Smotrich to stay in the government. And because of this, as you know, that in the last Friday, in this their meeting in the cabinet, they met, and after that, Mr. Netanyahu agree.
That was political science professor Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki. Thank you very much for joining us here on Qnews, sir. And we move on with the news bulletin, where Israeli army spokesperson for Arab media has announced that the Netzarim route remains closed to displaced Palestinians returning from southern Lebanon, rather southern to the northern Gaza. He attributed the closure to Hamas's alleged violation of the ceasefire agreement. He also emphasized the current restrictions, including the Netzarim closure, will remain in place until the release of the Israeli civilian Arbel Yehud is finalized through mediation. He also urged Palestinians to comply with safety directives and await further announcements regarding the route's reopening. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has urged the international community to provide urgent support for the Palestinian government's emergency relief and early recovery plan, which aims to facilitate the reconstruction of Gaza. The ministry emphasized the need for immediate solutions to the suffering of the over 2 million Palestinians, especially those waiting to return to devastated northern Gaza. These efforts are crucial for Palestinian resilience, unity and survival, aligning with the international law and global peace efforts. Gaza's Field Hospital's director, Dr. Marwan al-Hams, has stated that 75% of medical facilities in Gaza have been destroyed and require rehabilitation. He added that 25,000 people require treatment that is unavailable locally. He stated that Gaza's infrastructure, health system, and medical equipment have been heavily damaged and urgent assistance is needed, including food, medical supplies, and generators. Israeli occupation forces intensify their Iron Wall operation in Jenin while pursuing controversial annexation plans for the West Bank.
Israeli operation forces continue their Iron Wall operation in Jenin, launched on January 21st to target alleged militant infrastructure linked to the Jenin brigades. Offensive has involved ground troops and aerial strikes, resulting in widespread destruction and the displacement of over 2,000 families. At least 12 Palestinians, most West Bank. Israeli finance minister, who also oversees West Bank administration, has advocated for extending Israeli sovereignty over the occupied territories, aiming to block the establishment of a Palestinian state. Earlier in June 2024, he outlined plans for annexation through legislative initiatives and on-the-ground actions. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also reaffirmed his commitment to applying Israeli sovereignty to all settlements, expressing optimism about potential U.S. support. These developments underscore a pivotal moment as military operations in Jenin converge. With political efforts to reshape the region's status. The international community continues to monitor the situation closely, concerned about its implications for stability and peace efforts.
Moving on to Syria, where the European Union have announced they may soon suspend sanctions on Syria related to energy and transport. EU foreign ministers will discuss the matter at a meeting in Brussels on Monday. However, they have yet to reach a consensus on whether to ease the restrictions on financial transactions. The chief of the European Union Foreign Policy, Kaja Kallas, stated that she hoped a political agreement on easing the sanctions could be reached at the gathering. The United Nations Refugee Chief Filippo Grandi has stated that some 200,000 refugees have returned to Syria from neighboring countries since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government. He added that in order to make this return sustainable and to make life better for all Syrians, the economy needs to return, services need to be restored, and security needs to be guaranteed, as well as housing needs to be the subject of a very important reconstruction program.
Doing that, I told Mr. Shara, but I agree with him. Sanctions are an important obstacle at the moment.
Now we move on to the latest developments in Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
الوضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
The Lebanese Ministry of Health has reported that Israeli attacks on southern towns have claimed 11 lives and the injury of 83 others. It added that 11 people were killed and 9 injured in Hola, with the wounded receiving treatment at Tibnin Hospital. Additionally, the ministry confirmed in its statement that and transported to Marja Ayoun Governmental Hospital for medical care. Following a statement from the Lebanese Ministry of Health, the United Nations Special Coordinator for Lebanon, in a joint statement with the head of the UN's peacekeeping mission, has said that conditions are not yet in place for the safe return of citizens to their villages along the Blue Line on the deadline day for Israel's withdrawal under a ceasefire deal. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun has called on residents of southern villages to exercise restraint amid escalating events in the south. Aoun expressed solidarity with southern communities, celebrating the triumph of justice, and urged trust in the armed forces. He reaffirmed that Lebanon's sovereignty and territorial integrity are non-negotiable, and emphasized his commitment to addressing the issue at the highest levels to safeguard their rights and dignity. Lebanese Prime Minister-designate Nawaf Salam has spoken with President Joseph Aoun to discuss the evolving situation in southern Lebanon. Salam expressed full confidence in the Lebanese armed forces, especially the army, in safeguarding Lebanon's sovereignty and ensuring the safe return of southern residents to their villages. He also reiterated his commitment to the priority of the reconstruction of homes and villages in the South al-Baqa and Beirut, emphasizing that rebuilding is not just a promise but a pledge. Now we move on to the latest developments in the United States in President Donald Trump's era.
Donald Trump is his name, and he's there to stay.
As unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
America powerful. We will win, win, win. And we will make America great again. Let's do our We will very quickly make America great again.
U.S. President Donald Trump was in talks with multiple people over buying TikTok and would likely have a decision on the popular app's future in the next 30 days. Trump told reporters on Air Force One during a flight to Florida that he has spoken to many people about TikTok and there is great interest in TikTok. Pete Hegseth has been sworn in as U.S. Defense Secretary after narrowly securing enough votes. Hegseth was confirmed after a 50-50 vote in the Senate when Vice President J.D. Vance came to the chamber to break the tie in his role as President of the Senate after 3 Republicans joined every Democrat and Independent in voting number. Hegseth will lead 1.3 million active duty service members and the nearly 1 million civilians working for the U.S. military will pay nearly $1 trillion annual budget.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge. And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
That brings us to the end of our bulletin. Here's what we have been covering. Israeli forces kill 15 Palestinians in West Bank's Jenin. The European Union discusses suspending Syria sanctions on energy and transport. And US President Donald Trump discusses TikTok sale, and a decision is expected soon. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EG to stay informed. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.